To say I'm outside, I'm Sam. I'm outside. I'm outside because it's good for me. It really is. And I wanted to, well, share with people what it is I enjoy about being outdoors, aside from the actual health benefits. I'm curious, all right? And I'm an active, lifelong learner. And when I find something out in nature that I don't know enough about, well, I learn more, right? And I've found myself doing that for my entire lifetime. But I've had the fortune of having so many people share with me about nature. I've actively sought, and I've had professions where nature and trees, wildlife has been part of my career. But I actively choose to spend time outside because of my health and because, well, to be honest, I care about myself, and people don't work out because they hate their body, right? They, it's self improvement, all right. So yeah, people work out, and that takes many different forms. And for me, it's a simple walk, all right. So I haven't used weights since high school, but when I was working out, I was probably working out way too hard than my uh, body at that time should have, right? I was pushing my limits, but I got gains. Yeah, I was I was in grade 9, so I was probably 14, 15 years old, and I went from being a linebacker. By the time I got to grade 11, 2 years later, I was on the line, right? So there's a small high school team, and I would work offense and defense because the coach saw that I had a discipline and that I had a little bit of a talent, and I could take a hit and get back up because I was also pliable, right? So yeah, like Tom Brady pliability. There you go. So I go outside, I spend time outdoors because I love it and I love myself. So that's where it starts. All right. You have to do what you need to do because it comes from in here. You got to love yourself. So, there's so many benefits to spending time in nature, right? And nature again can take many forms. But for me, I live in a place where I can take a couple steps outside my door, and 5 minutes later, I'm in nature. So for some people, that might mean going outside is, spending time on their balcony. Hey, there was a time a couple of years ago where going outside was more of a challenge, right? So we were restricted in our movement. So, but now, right, go to a park, right? There's parks everywhere, right? Spend time in nature. But how you spend that time in nature, that's where the change comes in, right? So that requires a little more effort. So I'm inviting you to be mindful. All right. So when you're going outside, I practice forest bathing, all right, or Shinrin Yoku. So I make efforts, take time, right? That's a cost to immerse myself using sensory work, right? So I'll slow down. I do some breath work, right? I do some active listening. Um, I smell. I touch, right? I feel the air around me. And when you isolate those things, your brain connects differently with your body, with the environment, with nature. So forest bathing is what I do. And I've learned to do that because I took some training, and part of what I do professionally on my own time is I'm a certified forest therapy guide. And what I do then is part of it is, yeah, I'm helping myself, but I'm helping others cope with anxiety and stress and trauma using nature, because nature heals, right? So sometimes people do it because they're curious. Sometimes they do it because it's been prescribed. All right. So a medical professional said you need time in nature, and a lot of people they don't understand how. So that's the other part of me doing what I'm doing here on this platform is just introducing more concepts of how. But you've got to do it from in here. All right. People don't do it out of fear. They don't do it out of shame. They don't work out. There's no self improvement unless it's self guided. All right. There's no discipline in that. So it starts with being honest with yourself, and it's got to come from a place of love. If you've got somebody who could use a little motivation, it's got to come from a place of kindness. It's got to come from a place of trust, right? So when people invite a conversation, we're like, hey, how do you, what do you do? Right? Like to how have you lost weight, right? What are the changes you've made, and how do you share that? So again, when people invite that conversation, it's coming usually from a place of trust, and it's coming from a place of kindness, right? So that takes a little bit of effort as well. So without judgment, right? Just make small changes, something that's realistic and achievable, right? Start with 20 minutes, right? And that goes for physical training as well, right? So find some things that you can do where you're not going to involve like, maybe a membership or a cost. And, and sometimes that bit of commitment, whether it be financial, whether it be out of responsibility for your loved ones, for your family, for yourself, that's where it comes from. So figure out what you need, all right? And figure out, how many resources, time, money, energy, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, right? There's so many aspects to our well-being where we can make small steps and just scaffold them. Focus on one, do it for 3 weeks, right? That's building a habit. It takes time. And after that, add one more change. Continue the old thing, but then start something new. Scaffolding, right? So take time, take stock, do it from a good place, because that will lead to consistency. So you're worth it. You really are, right? People depend on you, and the world needs you, right? But more importantly, you need yourself. So be mindful of your inner dialogue, stay positive, be kind to yourself, right? And do it out of a place of love. So you've got to have that honesty about you, all right? There's a lot of focus on physical health, not as much focus on mental health, emotional intelligence, and on our impact socially, right? Small interactions, expressing gratitude, having appreciation for what you have. Comparison doesn't help, right? So if you're not as happy as you could be with where you are in life, no one's going to give it to you. Nope. You got to do it. You have to be your own vehicle of change. So whether that's physical health, mental health, emotional, financial health, all right? So that requires effort, and it requires consistency. So I do it out of a place of love for myself, but out of a sense of responsibility for my family. When you've got a medical professional that says, hey, right, your family needs you, and if you keep going the way you're going, keep making the choices you're making, you're not going to make it another 10 years. You're not going to make it 15 years. You're not going to make it 20 years. And if you like your quality of life, right, then maybe make some changes, right? So that might mean don't finish the whole bag of chips, right? I'm not saying you can't have snacks, but everything in life, moderation, right? Because sometimes what really makes us happy isn't really healthy. So I'm not saying you've got to make radical changes, but might mean some radical thinking, right? So there's a difference. So do what you can, when you can, from a place of love, from a place of kindness. And it starts with yourself, because people need you. That's right. The world needs you. You need yourself. You're the only person that can do the work. You're the only person that can create the change you want to be in the world. So, right? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial. There's so many aspects to your health that could require some small steps. So take stock, do some planning. Hey, and sometimes if you can't figure it out, there are people out there who are professionals who can help you with those choices. All right, so talk to someone. Yeah. Sometimes I talk to my dog, right? So at least the thoughts are out loud. And then, hey, write it down, because that makes it real, holds you accountable. So you got to love yourself. You're worth it. Thanks for watching. See you soon.